If you're not modest, are you really even a hero? Before we get to today's video, I want to take a moment to talk about Patreon. That's right, we are on Patreon now, and we have a bunch of tiers with a bunch of great rewards. You can subscribe and get things like early access to all reactions, depending on your tier, depends on which reactions you get early access to. You can vote on polls exclusive to patrons that will help determine future reaction series and more. You will get to just have various choices in terms of like getting to choose future reactions I react to, getting to choose first impressions I check out, all kinds of different rewards, and possibly more coming in the future. We're still new at this. We're still figuring things out. It's a process. It's a process. But we have multiple tiers, so whatever you would be able to donate, if you're able and willing to donate, is appreciated. It helps me out, it helps the channel out, it helps us grow. It's going to help just, standardly. It's just something new to check out. Plus, if you like getting the reactions early, that's also a plus. But it is optional. If you're unable to do it, that's completely fine. All reactions will come to YouTube just a little bit later, a week later or so. So, that all being said, thank you as always so much, and let's get on with today's video. And with that being said, hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Modest Heroes. This is a anime film, and it is a donation reward for Venom, so thank you, Venom. I'm not 100% sure what to expect here. I do remember seeing this movie on Netflix, and I always wanted to check it out, but I just never did. This is another movie like yesterday's that is fairly short. It's just under an hour. And that's really interesting to me that we're doing two of these in a row. Because I didn't plan this at all. I only found this out like when loading up the movies and everything. So I'm wondering if this is going to be sort of like Hal was, where it's like this contained little story that's just more about the message and the themes than like a big, like, ongoing narrative. Modest Heroes, this one gives me a little more to work off of in terms of a title. Heroes are obviously in reference to people who are doing, good things for the sake of, like, helping others and whatnot. Now, there's, like, kind of the question, a lot of people ask this, and I've heard, like, different arguments on, are you really a hero if you're not modest? If you're, like, doing this for... If you do heroic deeds for, like, clicks or something, like you're doing it just to get, like, clout online. If you're doing heroic things just to get, like, media attention, as another example of that kind of thing, are you really a hero? This is a very complicated question with an also complicated answer, in my opinion. I believe that you can be, but aren't necessarily a hero in that kind of situation. I believe it entirely depends on what you do. If you do something that genuinely saves someone, whether from poverty, by giving them, like, a bunch of money, or, like, by saving them from some kind of, like, bad situation, or just by, literally saving their lives. It doesn't matter why you're doing it. It matters that you did it. Because the act still did the intended, or gave the intended result. And that is saving the person. Now, you can argue all you want about the intent of that and whether it's good or not that the person might have been doing this just to get attention, clout, whether they're like, streaming it or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, it was still a good deed that was done that still had the intended effect of a good deed. That's just undeniable. It still helped out the person who, was saved in that regard. Again, no matter how much of a degree of the saving that was done. But there are some people who will do something for the cameras and then either take it back or it's just faked in the first place for the cameras. And that's when it gets into problematic territory. And so it's like the question isn't so much about modesty. It's more about, like, if you're actually engaging in the act or not. Excuse me. But, like, most of the time, I would say, when a person does something heroic, like truly heroic, it's usually with no, like, ulterior motives. If you see someone being attacked and you go to save them, a lot of times it's instinctual. Not all the time, maybe, sure, but a lot of the times it's instinctual. Most of the time. Because you see someone in danger and you want to save them. And most people who do this don't usually expect much in the way of compensation. If they get it, fine, cool, whatever. But it's not, like, necessary. And maybe I'm just being, like, optimistic, but I feel like most people would just truly be, like, genuinely modest with heroicism like that. That most people wouldn't really be thinking about it. And it's only those loud assholes out there who would try to use it for clout and compensation and shit. I know that a lot of people in this world suck. And I know that greed and selfishness and self-centeredness have ruled our just world for a long time. But I almost have to believe that most people are better. Because if I don't, the reality would just be too depressing. So, I'm assuming that this movie is going to focus on some people who are, modest heroes. People who have committed or will, within the scope of this film, commit heroic deeds, but not for any desire of compensation or clout or whatnot, for the sake of doing good and not wanting anything in return. Don't know what those deeds could end up being, but I'm very curious. So I guess we should just get into this, stop with my incessant rambling, and see what this movie has in store. So let's check it out. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. Welcome to the Afterthoughts. We'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, little fun fact for you. This film was actually intended to have 4 segments originally, with the 4th one that was supposed to be directed by Studio Ghibli director Isao Takahata. But because of Takahata's death in April of 2018, they just didn't give it to another director or anything. They just limited it to 3 shorts. Probably out of respect for him, wanting to not give his short away to anyone else, but just work with the 3 they were already doing otherwise. So this let's actually talk about this though. I feel like I've mentioned this before when it's come to anthology things like this. The biggest problem I have with anthologies, especially when it's like an anthology in one film like this, is that they always feel like you're just not getting enough. You always just crave more. And the thing is, some people might say, oh, but that's the point. It gets your attention and makes you excited and it makes you really connect to things and want more. But it's okay, cool, but we're not going to get more. So how does that help me? It's a one-off thing. And the fact that we're not going to ever get more kind of sucks. Now, there have been some anthologies where a short has ended up being made into full movies or whatnot, or inspired a full series and stuff. But it's that's pretty rare. That doesn't happen all the time. But there's very specific reasons within the scope of this film that kind of fuels what I'm talking about with wishing there was more, and I'll get to that, but I'm gonna talk about these shorts in order. So first off, we have Canini and Canino, which follows a family of anthropomorphized crabs. Canini and Canino are the kids. Their father is Toto. I thought they were saying Dada, but I guess I just completely misheard. And the mother is Kaka. The language within it and the reason there were no subtitles is completely fictional. They're not speaking Japanese. They're not speaking any language, which I kind of had guessed at. I was thinking, oh, they're just speaking their names, but then they started to say a couple other things here and there. It's a fictional language, and yeah, so the claws and the mom especially coming back and seeing her son's damaged claw, it was definitely representative of them being actual crabs. Just anthropomorphized for the sake of this. But the entire short deals with the kids struggling over the fact that they miss their mom, and I'm thinking she's dead. The entire time until the end and she comes back, I'm thinking she's dead. But in reality, she just went away to have babies, which I guess is probably something the crabs do. According to this, they're specifically freshwater crabs, so I'm wondering if that is again a thing that freshwater crabs do. When the mom is gonna like have babies, she goes away to somewhere to do so. Maybe onto land. Maybe that's the idea. I don't know. But either way, the father ends up getting swept away in a current, and the kids, Kanini and Kanino, have to go off and find him. They eventually do, but are accosted by a big fish, which I don't think, yeah, it doesn't say on here what the fish is. Um, I think it's just like some generic fish. They get attacked by the fish, but manage to do their best to not get eaten with the help of a heron. And though the father is severely injured, from being carried away by the stream, probably bashed against the rocks, they do make it back. They do reunite with the mom, and everything goes back to normal with the kids, like, being, strong enough to go out on their own after that. So, obviously, with the theme of, modest heroes, the father is the hero in this story. But you can even say the kids have the heroic aspect to them as well. The father is the hero because of him, like, basically sacrificing himself to save his kid at the beginning of the short. And then is, like, swept away by the current and everything. But then the kids show heroicism, I think is right, when they go to save him and, even, like, stand guard against the fish and everything. It shows heroicism on both ends, and I like that. It was cute, and it was, like, it wasn't anything, like, super special, but it got its point across, and I enjoyed it. The second of these shorts is Life Ain't Gonna Lose, and this is the biggest one for why I really feel that there wasn't enough time here. So this focuses on Shun, a young boy who has a severe, lethal allergy to eggs. And what appears to be his single mother, there's a guy who's helping call for him at the festival as well at one point, but otherwise we only ever see the mom, so I'm assuming she's a single mother. It directly says, and we never see any other parents. But yeah, it chronicles the family growing up and dealing with this. And it just ends. And that's, like, one of my big issues with this is that, like, within the less than 20 minutes that this short runs, it just suddenly ends. Like, after another, scare because of him eating the ice cream that shouldn't have had eggs in it, but for some reason did. It just ends with, like, I guess a pledge to, like, try to overcome this, which, again, I don't really think is how that works. But it's like talking about his, like, new adult tooth growing in, and it's like, this will be a tooth that eats eggs. And it's like, again, not sure how that works. But there's also this part at the beginning with, like, Shun and these other kids in the hospital in what appears to be, like, some kind of, like, situation, like, oh, we made these pancakes but kind of put in some stuff that you guys don't like, and you're gonna eat them to try to get over that or something, like some kind of exposure therapy bullshit. And it shows Shun having a reaction to it, presumably because what's in there is eggs, because, pancakes oftentimes will be made with eggs. And so it's like, yeah. But he's, like, old, he's, like, around the same age he is at the end of the short, so and it never comes back to that. It feels like that entire plot point was just completely abandoned. Because, like, if I'm looking through it here, let me mute this so we don't have any copyright issues here on YouTube. Well, on YouTube. This is also obviously on Patreon, but at the very beginning, yeah, it shows Shun. His mom is there, and there's the like other kids in. Again, it looks like a hospital. They're doing the pancake thing, and then Shun, while everybody's eating, Shun starts having his reaction. The mom seems confused at first, and she's like, "You really can't eat it." She's calling for the doctor. And the doctor or a nurse or someone is saying, "He's fine, don't worry." And it's just like, this isn't them learning about the allergy, because it shows like that the allergy was known about pretty much from his birth. So it's absolutely not that. Someone was saying nuts are no good for me. Everyone's different. Eggs, flour, shrimp. So yeah, this is definitely an allergy thing. And even another kid asks Shu what's bad for you and says, I can't have milk. Yeah, it's a tolerance test. These pancakes have something in them that you don't like. And it's a test to see how much you can eat. So I guess it's kind of like exposure therapy, but it's like it's more meant to see like how bad their allergy is. I guess. But saying it's something you don't like is fucking weird. And then saying like, "Oh, he'll be fine" is also fucking weird. I mean, I know they're in a hospital, but like Jesus. But again, that never comes back into play. That's shown at the beginning, and it again, it's clear because shrimp with shellfish allergies and nuts and stuff. It's like it's clearly a thing they're trying again to figure out like all of these kids like specific levels of how allergic they are. But why is that at the beginning, and why does it never come back into play? It just feels like there's a lot that's missing from this. Which sucks because I was more invested in this short than either of the other two. I'll just say that right off the bat. Like, this was the short that I was actually like super invested in. And it just left me not only just wanting more, but feeling like we should have had more. It feels like there's actual content missing. And that's not good. It feels like, again, it's like you show this bit at the beginning, it kind of implies that you're going to come back around to that, but it never does. It's just, maybe that's a me thing, but I don't know, it just feels like... And I get the point of it is to show, like, how much the mom is doing to, keep her son safe, and how she's a hero because she, goes out of her way to make sure that he survives and doesn't have to deal with these allergies. Everything she has to do has to bend over backwards to get things taken care of, like within the school and everything. It's like, I get that. I understand how, like the meaning of like this with the modest heroes idea is definitely there. But at the same time, again, it just feels incomplete. It feels like there was more that should have been there. And it's just, I come away from it a little dissatisfied, if I'm not honest. Or if I am honest. If I'm not honest. If I'm honest, I come away from it a little dissatisfied. Because it just feels like it feels like I've just watched like part of a story without like seeing all of it. I don't know. Again, maybe that's just me, but it's both the strongest and the weakest of these shorts. because it's the only one that feels incomplete, but it's also the most investing, for me at least. Now, the third short is Invisible, and this one was much more interesting than I thought it would be like at the very beginning. Because when it first starts off and you end up seeing that, oh yeah, this dude's invisible, it's like you get the idea of where it's going. It's like, okay, it's more of a metaphor. It's using literal invisibility to act as a metaphor to a person who's just kind of never noticed, a person who's never like recognized and noticed and has no like noteworthy like impact within the world. Nobody ever seems to like give him any mind. And he's going through life in a way to where it's like even if he loses what grounds him, he kind of literally floats away. Gravity hates this man, as I said. And this is obviously more representative of like having something that, keeps him grounded. Otherwise, he'll lose himself to his depression and the misery of, people not noticing him and not seeing him and all. But one day, a guy does see him. This random dude who we never see the face of. I was thinking it was going to like reveal he was invisible too. But it just never reveals anything about him. He's just this random stranger who happens to actually see our main character. And he's nice to him. He shares some bread because he notices the guy, our invisible main character, is hungry. And the dog notices him too. But after this encounter, our invisible man notices that a baby carriage is tumbling down a steep hill. And a truck is... Excuse me. Apologies. I felt that coming. I had to stop to let it happen. But a truck is coming towards where the baby carriage will, eventually, fall down to. So obviously the baby is in danger no matter how you look at it. I don't think he necessarily could have assumed that the baby would hit the road right at the time that the truck would come right towards it. But, either way, he starts trying to get to the baby as quick as possible to save it. And although he loses his moped, he does fly basically the rest of the way. And does manage to get the baby out of the way. He's a little worse for wear. He's a little scratched up, a little hurt, but otherwise seems fine. And the baby notices him after he he does the entire where'd I go? Here I am kind of thing. Which is funny for an invisible person to do. But the baby notices him and laughs, and it's like, it ends there. Kind of representative of he finally found another person who sees him. Something new to ground him to this earth and to its people and stuff. And although we never find out where the baby came from or who the parent is that lost the baby in the first place. It just never comes up. It's more about this person who never gets recognition, never gets any kind of attention, good or bad, doing something completely selfless. And finally getting some recognition. Even if it's just from a baby, it's something. It just continues with the entire everyday hero thing. Or modest heroes. I feel like everyday heroes would have been a little more fitting. The modest part is just kind of it's not really necessary. It's not untrue, but it feels like a weird word to use specifically. But yeah, it's like we have a lot of parent vibes to this, with obviously the first short with the father and then eventually the mother, but the father being like the initial hero, and then his kids like return the favor and protecting him. And then with the second short, you obviously have a single mother taking care of her son. And in this one, he's not like a parent, but he ends up saving a baby and everything. So it's like there's still those kind of vibes nonetheless. I don't know if like there was like a very like big strong intention to that, but it's just a fascinating thing to notice as well. And it's like outside of the first short, which again is like centered around anthropomorphized crabs, the second two like have a lot of focus on just ordinary people. This again is a single mother who was she teaching the dance class? I don't know if she was teaching or if she was just a student there. But she was in a dance class. She also was like part of like a dance group. And she's just trying to like live her life while also taking care of her, you know, her son who has again the severe egg allergies. It's like a normal everyday person. And then you have like this just ordinary guy who works at like this office setting or whatever. Um but again is never noticed, is really invisible. Like even that woman who dropped all her stuff, it's like he picks up the pen, she sees it there, and it's like, oh, that's where that went. Instead of thanking him, it's like, Jesus fuck. It's like, wow. That's extremely rude. But the thing is, I don't know if she really just did not notice him. But yeah, it's like he's just an ordinary guy, and that's kind of the point. He's nothing like special outside the invisibility aspect. It's I feel like again the second short here really needed to be longer, or at the very least just wrap some things up a little better. It just felt incomplete. The third and first short did feel complete. The first one was a little weird, but that's fine. I'm okay with weird. And the third one um was good, but again, not as enticing, not as exciting as the second one should have been. Again, it's weird because what was it called? Life Ain't Gonna Lose should be so much better than it is, but again, it's also the one that I kind of enjoyed the most and was kind of the most invested in. It's just one of those weird situations where again, it's both the best and the worst short of the group. Um the arts and animation was obviously fantastic. There's like, especially in the first short, like the water, Jesus fuck. But like for all three of the shorts, the art and animation was fantastic. The voice acting was good. The sound design was great. Everything worked really well. I had no real issues with anything on any of those levels. The writing and character work was great. Again, I just wish the second one were longer. And overall, I did really enjoy this. It was short, but it was fun. And it's definitely something that I would love to see more of. Um, but let me know in the comments below, what did you think of Modest Heroes? And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.